Married to a drug dealer. The same sun that rises on me today is the very same sun that rose on a young girl named Rahab. She lived in a city, a forted city named Jericho. Read about it. It's a fascinating story in the book of Joshua. It's a true story. Rahab was walking in the darkness. She was a prostitute. Why was she a prostitute? We don't know. Did she put herself there? I don't know. Was it her circumstances? Did she step out into the darkness because of her circumstances? Probably. I don't think most people would choose to be called a harlot. I'm sure the whole city knew about it. It was a forted city. I'm sure that the women shied away from poor Rahab. Probably didn't want anything to do with her. Probably hid their husbands away from her. Probably hid their children away from her. She was an outcast. Probably a nobody. She was a harlot walking in the darkness. She lived in a city called Jericho. And Jericho was on the radar with the Israelite people. Jericho was the next city that God was going to overturn. There was something different about Rahab. Why is she in the Word of God? What's so different about her? What was so special about a prostitute that the Father, the God, the Father, the maker of the heaven and earth, would choose to put her in His holy word, in His Bible? There was something different about Rahab. She heard about God. She heard about what He could do, how He parted the Red Sea and let His people through. She wanted that. She wanted this God that she heard about. She knew that she was walking in the darkness, and she wanted what the men of Israel had. She protected them. When I was walking in the darkness, when I was pregnant with my second child, my ex-husband was drug dealing, full-blown, not working at another job, just drug dealing and doing drugs and drinking and partying. It was a constant thing. And he told me, "You're going to do the drugs with me." I was pregnant, so I had some time. I didn't want to do those drugs. I didn't want no part of it. But it was a constant dig at me. It was a constant thing to pull me into the darkness, threaten me. If you don't do the drugs and party with me, I'll find somebody who will, and I'll bring them right here into the house with you. It was a constant threat. It was a constant thing. After I had the baby and after a few months, I had enough of the threat, so I took the drug. I started walking the walk. But I knew of this God. I knew of my Father. He was in my heart. It seemed like a long time ago, but I knew He was still there. And my heart was crying out to Him, even while I was walking in the darkness, even while I was participating with the drugs and the alcohol. I never sold drugs, not once, not ever. I never had anything to do with that, and I thank the Father. I thank the Father to not let me go that far. I'm grateful. But I participated in the partying. I participated in the alcohol and the drug use. There was a day when the SWAT team come in, just like Rahab. the king of Jericho came to her, demanding to know where those men were. She protected those men because she knew of a God. She knew of a God that can save her. She had heard what the Israelite people can do and what they did to cities, and she knew that her city was next. They were coming, but she knew about this God and the protection that He can offer her. I don't compare myself to Rahab at all, but I had a similar circumstances. I knew about God. I knew about His protection, and my heart was crying out to Him. I started praying. God, put him in hell or put him in jail. You choose. Your choice, Father. But I didn't have a way out on the earth myself. You choose. So when the SWAT team came in, they interrogated me. They asked me questions. They read me my rights. I was terrified. But they left me at home. They left me. My father protected me. I was never arrested for the crime that I did not do. I had already stopped the participation into the drugs at that time. I wasn't doing the drugs when the SWAT team came in. I'm going to tell you more about that day. I'm going to tell you. It was a day. Trust me. Rahab knew they were coming. They were coming for her. But she knew there was a God who could protect her when the city fell. So she protected those two men, those two spies from God, from the Israelites. She protected them. And she led them out and dropped them down off the walls of Jericho by a rope. She did that. She could have been killed. She could have been arrested. She could have been put in the dungeon by the king. But she did the right thing. When the SWAT team come in, I had already started praying. I had already started giving my heart back to God. And I was protected when the SWAT team come in. Go read the book of Joshua, chapter 2. Learn about Rahab. It's not just a history lesson. The Word of God is living. It's powerful. It's there to help you today. By reading her story, it can help you with your story. Turn to God. Give your life to Christ. He is our help and our protection. Just like Rahab, have you heard about a God? Have you heard about this God? Make him your own.